Huh. Well, Coach, call the sponsor.
Yes.
Okay. I got you.
Everybody all set?
Ready to roll?
After Coach Cox will use the mic.
Okay. Well, obviously, we've had the comfort of playing at home the last 2 weeks, and now we get to go on the road up to BYU, and obviously a very, very good football team. Last year, you look at their record last year, and this year again, they start off good. Very well coached, have athletes on all different levels. Offensively, the quarterback, he's a wild guy now. He can make some plays with his legs, and he's got a good arm. Throws really well off schedule when it's off schedule. And the runners are good. They got a big old offensive line that can push you around. Defense doesn't give up a lot of points. Do a good job of bringing pressure and a nice job in their coverage schemes in the back end. They're well coordinated. Special teams, the punter is a very good athlete. He's also the holder. Strong leg. Kicker does a good job as well. So they're a very sound football team when you think about what they've accomplished in the last couple of years. Last year, as I said, they only lost, I think, one game. And so going up there playing is a tough task. It's loud, and it's our first road game. This is kind of what you want to experience as a football team, kind of figure out what you are. I've been there as a coach. A little later, earlier in my career, but got recruited there actually by Lavelle Edwards, one of the first black athletes they recruited there in 1972, coming out of high school. Took a visit there and started a friendship with Coach actually. But they got a great fan base. It's going to be loud. Couldn't go into a better venue if you think about college football. They talk about all these other venues. They have a nice venue there, and they do a great job of supporting their team. So better be ready to play because it's going to take 4 quarters. And I think our guys are excited about the opportunity to play as well. Question.
Hi, Herm Horderbino, Devil's Digest. I know that you expressed your displeasure about the passing game after last week and even really going back to the season opener. When you watched film, is there any common thread with the struggles of the passing game the first 2 weeks?
Well, we haven't made a lot of explosive plays, and I think when you think about passing, you want to be able to do that, right? A lot of times we're a little bit off schedule. Jaden was in my office today. We talked about it. We had a nice conversation about what we're trying to become. I think a lot of that is being familiar with the people he's playing with. As I said, I'm not making excuses, but it's just a fact. He's played with his receivers for 6 games now. 4 of them were last year, 2 of them are this year. So I think that'll improve, that'll get better. Jaden understands that. I think the receivers understand that as well. You know, we've been fortunate. Since I've been here in the last 3 years, we've had receivers drafted. We had 2 first-round picks, and Frank made it with the Atlanta Falcons. So there's always been a guy. We got to figure out who that guy is. And it's too early to know right now, but I think as the season continues to play out, we'll figure out who those guys are.
Herm, Colin Harmon, ABC 15. You talk about needing to play a full 4 quarters. I imagine the emphasis has been on getting off to a fast start, especially when you go into Provo. But I mean, what goes into that? You can say it, but what do you need to see from your guys to have that happen?
Well, don't get off to a bad start when you go on the road. That's how I look on road games. Don't get off to a bad start, because you get off to a bad start, then you're fighting 2 elements: the 11 guys on the field and the crowd. And so I think when you go on the road, you think different. You know, you just do, because you're fighting 2 opponents. You're fighting the emotion of a crowd, the noise, and you're fighting a good team on the field. And so, you know, to me, it's can you get on the field offensively and make some first downs? You don't even have to score. Just make some first downs. And you'd be surprised. All of a sudden, the crowd gets quiet because they can't holler. They can't holler for long periods of time. No one can. No human being has that in his capacity in his lungs, right? And if you just keep going, then they quiet. They get quiet because it's like, okay, they'll get loud on 3rd down. If you convert the 3rd down, guess what? They get quiet again. And then you go some more. And then before you know it, it's kind of like, so Doesn't mean you got to score, but you got to move the ball. 3 and out. You go 3 and out. It's like, oh, kidding me, right? Then now they're excited, and all of a sudden their offense has the ball, and the energy of the stadium goes up. And so there's a difference when you go on the road a little bit, when you play at home. That's just my experience. And what do I know? I mean, I don't know a lot, but been in a lot of football games. They don't change when you go on the road. It's just that's why they call it the road. There ain't gonna be many Sun Devils up there. There'll be a few, but that's what we anticipate.
And Coach, to piggyback off that, obviously you always talk about playing young guys, and you've done it since you were here. But the first home game is one thing; they're all wide-eyed. Now the first road game. What are, not giving away too many trade secrets, but how do you help kind of calm them down on, like you said, in a hostile environment like Provo?
Well, I'll mess with them all week this week. I've got some things to do. I've already been on the coaches a little bit, so I've made my voice resonate in the building. Started Sunday, so the coaches are kind of getting where I'm coming from. Players will get it too. I can handle that. We'll be okay.
Coach, Mac Friday, Devil's Digest. You've learned a lot over your time coaching football through a long off season and 2 non-conference games. What has this team taught you? What have you learned from them?
They're a resilient group of young guys. They really are. And it's good to have some guys that have been here in the program since we came together, because now they're the leaders. They have a voice in the locker room. I've always coached that way. The players have to have a voice. They do. And you have to listen to them. It's one thing to say they have one. Another thing when you listen. You got to be a good listener. I think that in life, I've learned that you have to be a good listener. Everybody has answers, but you want to be a good listener because you want to hear the questions. You want to gather the information. And so these guys understand that. They know that they never have to worry about speaking to their head coach, because their head coach is always available. No matter what time of day, what time of night, doesn't matter. I'm always available. And it's great when these players, they feel very comfortable talking to me, and then you learn a lot about your football team. And that's hard to develop. It takes time, it takes trust. They got to trust you, it's like anything, any business in life, person that's kind of running it, no one really wants to talk to that guy a whole lot. Kind of talk to the people to get to the guy, right? You don't have to do that here. They can walk in my office, tell me anything they want to say. I'm all ears, and hopefully I can give them some answers.
Chris Carbon, Sun Devil Source. Herm, is there any update on the status of Elijah Badger or maybe Tamarcus Davis or anybody else like that?
I'm hoping he's going to be able to participate this week.
Badger.
Badger, yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Okay. And what would he bring? What could he bring?
Oh, well, first of all, he's got to get some type of football stamina, but he has been running. So he's good that way. He's very talented now. I mean, you guys seen him. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I mean, he's a talented player. I mean, it just brings another wide receiver that hasn't played a lot, but talented, can make the contested catch. Good after the catch, running the ball with the ball in his hand. It'll be fun to get him in, get him back in the groove with us. So he's excited about coming back and having an opportunity to participate.
Is Tamarcus Davis getting close?
Would you say?
Tamarcus
Yeah,
Davis?
he's ready. He'll go. He's going. Mhm.
Hey, Coach, Jack Loader, House of Sparky. The running back room's a little banged up. Are you expecting to be without any of those guys this weekend?
No, they're all available. As far as I know, I mean, somebody could have a tummy ache tomorrow, might not show up. Right now, they're all available. Stay away from that ice cream. Some people have that, lactose, not good. I wasn't born that way. I was a carnation baby. That's why I got the skin. My mom gave me, carnation baby, not lactose, carnation. Sorry, go ahead.
Mike Haller, The Athletic. Herm, I also wanted to ask about a player, Norman Lott.
Mhm.
I didn't see him last week, I don't think. What's his status?
He will be available. He's going on a trip. He'll be able to practice.
And also, throughout your time in football, is there a common denominator that all fullbacks have just to be successful in that job?
They got a workman's mentality. They don't want the ball a lot. You know, they're not needy to have the ball. They just want somebody to know, who do I block, right? Who do I block? And every once in a while, you give them a little crumb and you let them score, and that keeps them happy. But generally, they're tough. They've earned the respect of everybody on the football team, on both offense and defense. And in running situations when it's really, you know, you got everybody in the box but the safety, you know, you got 22 guys inside the numbers playing football. The players watch that guy play because they know if we're running it, that he's going to be a part of the blocking scheme, right? And they enjoy watching what he does because they practice against it every day. They say, we will see how these guys are going to defend this guy, right? So he earns the instant respect. We had a guy, now he ran the ball a little bit more than our guy here, Mike Allstott. We had him down in Tampa. He was a fullback, but he's kind of running back, pretty good player, right? So I just think those guys are undervalued in today's world because of spread offenses. You know, there's no fullbacks anymore. Kind of, there's a lot of offenses. I love a fullback. I just think that's part of your offense. It's part of your package. And with Case, we slash fullback, tight end, H-back, whatever you want to call him. He's a tough guy. He's a good football player and will do whatever it takes to help his teammates, you know. Fullbacks are kind of like, they're like, you know, you buy this fancy car and you got all these things and you're in the car and you're looking at all these pretty stereo and you go, seatbelt. Gotta put seatbelt. Fullback's a seatbelt. Kind of keeps everything together, right? That's what them guys do. And they work and they don't say a whole lot. It's just fun to watch him play because he's a ball of energy and he's obviously one of the team captains.
Hey, Coach, Jordan Spurgeon, Sports 360 AZ. So after looking at the tape a little bit, you mentioned Jaden needs to build a little more trust with his receivers, but what else can he do to potentially avoid having to run as much as he had to on Saturday?
Well, I think it's patience, but see, when you're not familiar with what you guys are going to do, you know, you got this clock in your head and you go back and play quarterback and the patterns are being run and there's a certain look you're looking at and you see the look, you say, I got to go here or there. And when the clock expires, now you're off schedule. Okay, so when you get off schedule, what are your receivers doing when you're off schedule? That has to be, it has to be like, it's not a planned deal, you just kind of, you see it, right? And that's where we've got to get better now. When it's off schedule, how do the receivers adjust? And how does Jaden adjust his eyes? If he's looking over here, does he work back over here? Because his receiver's gonna come open. Those are the little things that when you watch these guys play on Sunday, I mean, you watch the Cardinals, Murray. I mean, I had him in the Under Armour game. I mean, how many off-schedule plays did he make? I mean, you look at the guy from Kansas City. I mean, it wasn't like he went back 3 steps, I'm gonna throw it. He went back, oh, okay, then he ran around and, you know, that's off schedule. And those are the guys that present the biggest problem is the off-schedule quarterback, because all of a sudden, in the back end of your defense, it breaks down. Now, if you're man-to-man, okay, one thing, but if you're in zones, those zones get watered. They get stretched because these receivers are running around and the quarterback is off schedule and he's looking and the arm strength will allow him to throw it on the other side of the field. You got a problem. So those are the things that just happen when you play more with your guys.
Gotcha. Coach, Prince James Story, Cronkite News. Since you've been here at ASU, the team is 10-1 in games y'all rushed for over 200 yards.
Yeah.
Moving forward, further along in this season, do you think you could keep that same success, or would that passing game need to pick up?
I think you got to be balanced, but you know, when you go on the road, it's just a known fact in football and in any kind of football, kicking game and the defense travel and running the football. That's what travels, because they can play in any conditions. You know, sometimes conditions won't allow you to throw it a lot, but you got to be able to run the football. And you're right, when we run the ball consistently, we generally win. We're 10-1 when it's over 200 yards. And we know that. Guess what? Our opponent knows that too. They know that. So you're playing against us, say you got to stop them from running. We say that every week. We got to stop people from running. Believe it or not, football is a game of you want to make people one-handed. You want to make the offense predictable. Now, people say, why do you want to do that? You want to make them predictable. Because when the ball leaves the quarterback's hand, yeah, it could be good, but it also be bad, right? When you turn around and just give it to somebody, that's easier. Just give it to a guy and he runs for 5. Then you're always ahead of the chains, right? But when you make them throw it, if they miss one, now it's 2nd and 10. And so I think, football is a game. We love passing, we love scoring. But if you look at the teams that win and the teams that go into playoffs, the teams even in college playoffs, they talk about the quarterback, you talk about all this stuff. Well, watch how they run the ball. Just watch it. It's BYU team, they run the ball. The good teams find a way to run the ball. I mean, they just do. And we lose sight of it because we like these pretty passes. And they're fantastic, man. The ball goes down the field and everybody hollers and screams and it's a 20-yard play. But at the end, look at the yards when you say running. And they go, huh? They ran for 100+ yards, 200 yards. They go, oh, okay, ran the ball. So that's part of it, in my opinion. It's a little bit, I don't know.
Coach Zach Keenan, Devil's Digest. Obviously, you watched NFL football yesterday. Any performances stand out to you?
I don't watch a lot of it. I kind of catch it in spurts because I'm playing BYU, by the way. I got a real job down there. I used to do that when I was doing what you did. I used to watch all 12 games. Me and Chris Berman would go in there, talk about it on Sunday, and have a good old time. Right? What are you going to say? I'm going to say this. What you going to say? Say this. Now I'm looking at BYU, and every time I look at them, it scares me. They scare me more, right? But now I just think the NFL, what I'm witnessing, and it's not hard to believe, is that a lot of the college system is in the NFL now. Spread. I mean, look at I can remember when they drafted Kyler. And everybody said, "Well, I know the head coach played for me." I said, he's going to put his system in. He did. What it is. And they throw it around and he makes a lot of plays, like off schedule, and they run the ball, right? And so I just think you see that more in pro football when you have a quarterback that can make a lot of unscheduled plays. You still see the guy in the pocket. I mean, the Rams got a guy, Stafford, he's in the pocket, right? Captain America, he ain't never left the pocket. He in the pocket, still winning, I mean, so you still have those guys, but I think that when a coach gets a quarterback in today's world, in pro football or even in college football, you say, is it the system or is it the player? Well, it's always the player. It has to be the player. You build your player around it. You build your system around the player. When you say the system is bigger than the player, you got problems. Because that guy ain't gonna be very good. So the NFL has adopted, hey, these are the type of quarterbacks that are coming out. We can't be afraid to draft them in the first round anymore and say, well, because he's a runner, and you want to label them runners, right? There'll be one player tonight, a Lamar Jackson guy. Or when he came out, he's a runner. He's a good quarterback. And that's an excuse. We make an excuse. Well, he's a runner. He's not a passer. He's a winner. Can the quarterback win? All right, they do. Whether he's a pocket guy, whether he's a rollout guy, I don't care what he is. Can he win? Dude wins, man. And I just think when you're able to build your offense around that, give in to the player and say, hey, man, this is the kind of offense it is, right? You got a shot.
So Herm, speaking of running quarterbacks, Jaron Hall for BYU, definitely running quarterback. And the fact that you had Doug Brumfield with UNLV gave you fits in the first half, but second half able to figure them out. Do you think it's a good preparation for what awaits you with Hall on Saturday?
A little bit, but this guy's much faster. He's really fast. He has good, I don't know his 40 time, but just watching him run, he's dynamic. He runs. He runs fast. You always tell the fast runners because they run and look like their feet on fire. Look like his feet are hot, right? And he runs now. He makes a lot of big plays. He really does. And that's the concern. I think when you play them, that's the first thing that jumps out on the tape. Beside everything else they do well. But the quarterback is like, man, he made another play. Right. So that's going to be that's going to be what we really got to focus on. You know, is can we keep him some kind of in the pocket some? Don't let him get out, beat us on the perimeter, because he can run it, but he can also throw it when he runs it. You know, he's kind of looking to throw, but if something opens up, he can go.
I know for BYU it was obviously a rivalry game with Utah
Yes.
being at home, but they looked significantly better, at least I thought, in game 2 versus game 1. I mean, what did you think of just the improvement from their first 2 games?
I think they felt what the quarterback could do, right? I mean, they still want to run it, and they're going to do what they do, motions and all the things. They got a nice offensive line that does a nice job of pushing people east and west, and the runners do a great job of hitting some soft spots in your zone. But it's the quarterback. The quarterback is an explosive player. When they played their first game, you watched them, and at first, you know, quarterback against Arizona was dropping back, and then all of a sudden, he made a couple runs, and the whole team kind of just lit up. It's just like, wow, right? And this week, rivalry game, I mean, big time game up there for those guys. He made some plays. He made some with his legs. He made some really good throws too when he was on the run. So I just think they're developing how he's going to play. I mean, it's his only first year playing there. I mean, it's like the guy took the place he's taking is a guy with the Jets, first round pick. So you can imagine the pressure on this guy. He walks in there. Quarterback was here last year, won 11 games, right? You're coming in here and you're at BYU. We expect to win. We're a good football team. I commend that young man for doing that. And he's a good player, and he's going to get better as the season goes.
If I can just follow real quick. I know rankings are just a number, especially early on in this season, but to have a ranked matchup for you guys, is there a different sense just among your players when they see kind of the rankings come out and what's ahead?
I hope not. I just think we got to play. You know, I don't pay attention a lot to those rankings. I just don't. You still got to play. They don't help you. Rankings don't help you. They don't. You got to go play. And in college football, say it every week, hard to win a game. It's hard. Let's see.
Coach, are you guys doing anything different this week conditioning wise to prepare for playing in altitude?
No. I've never talked about it since I've been anywhere. We're going to play a football game. We're in shape to play football. I've never mentioned that. Wherever I've been, I never mentioned that. I don't even talk about it. I won't mention it. Never mentioned it when I've been here or when I've been anywhere else. You just go play. You know, everybody breathe the same air. You just go play. Don't worry about all that.
Herm, Zach has been really creative with his play calling the first 2 weeks. Where do you stand on the trick plays? I know it might be more of a college thing than a pro thing.
I don't look at them. I don't. When I hear them, I turn away. When I hear it coming on my deal, I don't even look. I don't. Because they're going that way, I just turn this way. And then if the crowd is hollering, I say, work. And if they go, it didn't work. My wife hates trick plays. She does. Every time she sees me in pro football, she says, "Will you tell him to stop running the trick plays?" And I think the trick play that killed her, that broke her heart, was we were playing Baltimore, and we had this reverse. It wasn't Curtis in the game, it was Lamont Jordan. He told Lamont, I said, "Look, you get the ball on the reverse, and you're running around the right end." And he said, "Look, you got 2 options in this deal now." He said, "If Ed Reed is in the middle of the field, you don't throw it. It's down the red zone. True story. We're on 15, red zone. Don't throw it." Talked about it all week. Just, you see him, run. You do the play. I'm like, okay. Roll around to the right. Ed Reed pops up in the middle of the field. I say, he's running. All of a sudden, he thinks he's Johnny Unitas. Throws the ball. Next thing I know, I'm standing on the sideline. Ed Reed's running past me. We tackled him at the 2. My wife was done with the trick plays. I was kind of done with him too. But you know, it's just, but it is college football. Players like it. It gets them energized. You know, you have to be creative because these players, all this stuff, you know, it's just, when do you use them? Zach has been in a system that they do a lot of this. So he knows how I feel about him. As you know, it's like, sometimes I tell him, well, don't use them all. Don't, just wait, save some, but then you got to get them on tape because people got to practice this. So there's two sides to the coin, When is it coming? You don't know. Formations, personnel, you don't know. So it's fun, but I don't look. I won't look. I just don't. I just turn. That's what it is. It's entertainment. It's fun when they work. And we've had some that worked, right? You guys like that stuff, right? When it works. Then when it don't work, oh, why did they make that call? Right? I get it. It's always a bad call when it don't work. Get it. It's part of it.
Why do I always have to follow that?
You know.
We saw Christian Zenzeas for the first time. He literally just jumped back into the mix. Can you talk about what went into going with him instead of Tyler?
Well, I think just the consistency of it all. And, he missed the point after, but the laces got turned the wrong way. And Ethan tried to get him back as the ball was on the ground. You could see it and kicked it to the left. But we needed some consistency, and I think Tyler, I don't want to put him in a position where, you start missing some and then it becomes, wow, right? And so he was available. I had this conversation a month out. This conversation, the hell was going on with me. It's not just 2 weeks ago. I was kind of simmering, I'm just letting it sit over there and just watching things happen and going, okay, well, not now, we're going to get into some games where we got to make sure when we get inside the 30, we got a guy that 90% of the time or more can make it. And who's done it? He's done it in some big games. He's won some games with his leg for us, right? And so he was happy about the opportunity to come back because he didn't go anywhere. So it just it worked out for everybody. Thank you all.